Andrew McClary was a soldier and major in the Continental Army during the American Revolution. McClary was born in Ulster, Ireland and came to colonial America with his parents at age 16, where they lived on a farm in New Hampshire. Here the McClary family built a tavern, which was where town meetings were held. Many of New Hampshire's prominent and influential men had come from the McClary family. In session, Andrew McClary had also become the town clerk and soon a notable community leader during the years before the Revolution. In the mid-1700s New Hampshire frontier, McClary gained much of his field experience leading expeditions against hostile Indians in the area. Just before the Revolution, McClary planned and led an attack on a British supply depot at the castle at Portsmouth. McClary was said to have been a natural leader and one who greatly inspired morale among the New Hampshire militia. During the Revolution he assembled a company of men in New Hampshire and marched over 70 miles to Boston and fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill. During the retreat he was the last soldier to leave the battle site. Soon after, he was killed when he returned to the site to survey British activity, the last American soldier to die during the battle. Early life and career. Andrew McClary was the second son of his father, Andrew Sr., who emigrated from Ulster, Ireland, with his wife and children to the British colonies in 1726 to escape British oppression that was common in Ireland in those days. In 1733 the family moved to Londonderry, New Hampshire, where they lived until 1738 and then moved to Epsom, where the elder McClary soon died. McClary stood well over 6 feet tall, with a straight, proportioned and athletic build, with blue eyes, and was known as a jovial and generous man. The McClary family were among the most prominent and respected families in the Suncook Valley region. McClary and his older brother John McClary were the leading influential men in all the town and military affairs. John became a colonel just before the American Revolution began. His nephew Michael would later become General Michael McClary. McClary served as the town clerk. His entries in the town books revealed a thorough knowledge of business and language and, according to contemporary historian John C. French, exhibited a unique literary and writing style. His last entry in the town's records were made approximately 1 year before he died. McClary married Elizabeth McCrillis, their marriage producing 5 sons and 3 daughters born in Ireland. McClary received his basic education before coming to the colonies in America with his parents. McClary helped his father build a tavern on the farm in Epsom, New Hampshire, which the younger McClary managed on a regular basis. After the death of his father in 1765, he became the proprietor of the farm and its tavern. With no meeting house in Epsom before 1794, all the town meetings were held at McClary's farm tavern, which was also used for various social gatherings. In 1755, McClary led a company of soldiers in search of the Indians who massacred and took prisoners from the McCall family of Salisbury. During the French and Indian War, the colonials of the New England frontier lived in constant fear of Indian attacks. McClary spent much of his time scouting the area, along with hunting and clearing of the land. He also became a local champion in the sport of boxing and wrestling. Along with Rogers, McClary was also close friends with noted Revolutionary War figures like John Gough and John Stark, often meeting with them at the McClary Farm Tavern with increasing frequency, where matters of the Revolution were now being openly discussed. Military life. As an experienced scout in New Hampshire, McClary was soon promoted an officer at at an early age in Robert Rogers' famous Company of New Hampshire Rangers, and finally, as he gained experience, was chosen to be the leader in all local engagements against the local Indians. In the months preceding the Revolutionary War, it is said that McClary began to distinguish himself for his resolution and patriotism in planning and leading the attack of the castle at Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on December 1, 1774. For what was considered his heroic efforts, McClary had won for himself a prominent standing among the New Hampshire militia. Battle of Bunker Hill on April 27, 1775. When word of the battles at Lexington and Concord reached the Suncook Valley in New Hampshire, McClary was busy plowing land back on his farm. He and other patriots gathered and flew to arms, and assembled at Nottingham Square. They made Captain McClary commander of the company, consisting of 80 men. They departed from Nottingham Square at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and conducted a rapid march south to Kingston. Further, they continued at a fast pace without resting until sunset, arriving at Haverhill, just over the Massachusetts border on the Merrimack River. McClary's company covered 27 miles in 6 hours. They continued for a few more miles and stopped and took supper at Andover. After resting a bit, they resumed marching through the night and by sunrise had covered 70 miles distance. After passing through Medford, they continued south and marched on Cambridge Common, where upon arrival were all willing and eager to fight for the Revolution. The McClary and his company joined up with Colonel John Stark, who gave McClary the rank of Major. On June 16 they received orders to join with American forces and prepare for battle at Bunker Hill, in Charlestown across the Mystic River from Boston. The battle was to take place on the Charleston Peninsula, which was only accessible to American infantry by crossing over the very narrow Charleston Neck. During the first British advance on the American fortifications at Top Breed's Hill, McClary, along with Seth Pomeroy, John Stark, James Reed and Thomas Knowlton, were at the front in the redoubt. According to Colonel Svett in his 1826 account of the battle, when the Americans were finally given the order to fire, McClary, with his stentorian voice, was distinctly heard over the roar of cannon and musket fire, animating and encouraging the men as though he would inspire every ball that sped with his own fire and energy. As the battle unfolded, the American soldiers were directed to spot and fire upon every British officer they could distinguish. When Major McClary would sight an officer, he would instantly call out, "There, see that officer. Let's shoot at him." Quote, 2 or 3 soldiers, all excellent marksmen, would then fire at the same time, making sure the target was hit. During the battle, though a British tactical victory, they lost a considerable number of officers. After the battle, with many wounded in the retreat, McClary immediately procured a horse and rode 5 miles north to Medford and returned with bandages and other supplies for the wounded. He then prepared to go back across Charlestown Neck to observe any further British movement at Bunker Hill. He was cautioned by his son and other men not to embark on such a risky effort, but McClary exclaimed, "The ball is not yet cast that will kill me." Upon returning while crossing the neck to rejoin his men, a shot from a frigate passed through his body. He leaped a few feet from the ground, keeled over and fell dead on his face. Later McClary would be carried to Medford and interred with military honors. Henry Dearborn, in his 1818 account of the battle, read of McClary, "There was no cavalry in either army, for the ships of war and a large battery on Copp's Hill. A heavy cannonade was kept up upon our line and redoubt during the retreat, but with very little effect, except that of killing the brave Major Andrew McClary of Col. Stark's regiment soon after we retired from Bunker Hill." He was among the first officers of the army, possessing a sound judgment, of undaunted bravery, enterprising, ardent and zealous, both as a patriot and soldier. His loss was severely felt by his compatriots in arms. McClary was technically the highest-ranking American officer to die in the battle. General Warren had declined an offer of command and had no commission at the time of battle. McClary's death was the last to occur there. He was one among the 10 American officers to perish during the battle. McClary's body was taken to Medford, Massachusetts, just outside Boston, near the encampment of the New Hampshire Brigade, along with other soldiers who died during the battle, and was buried with military honors. Legacy. A eulogy to McClary appeared in the New Hampshire Gazette, dated Epsom, July 1775. It read, "The Major discovered great intrepidity and presence of mind in the action, and his noble soul glowed with ardor and the love of his country." On June 17, 1843, the 68th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill, Andrew McClary's name was spoken in the closing words in the dedication to the monument at Bunker Hill. In honor of McClary, a bronze memorial tablet was unveiled at Epsom on August 25, 1905, with appropriate honors. The tablet was secured through the efforts of the Epsom Historical Club, and is attached to a tall granite pillar, weighing approximately 5,000 pounds. McClary's image appears in John Trumbull's famous painting of the Battle of Bunker Hill, where he is pictured raising his musket to shoot the British soldier attempting to bayonet the mortally wounded Warren. Fort McClary in Maine at Kittery Point was renamed in Andrew McClary's honor. The fort officially established in 1808. The schooner US McClary was named after McClary. On September 2, 1776, the vessel was commissioned by the state of New Hampshire and was armed with 8 cannons and 6 swivel guns. The vessel made 5 voyages between September 1776 and February 1778. Bibliography. Bardwell, John D. Old Kittery. Arcadia Publishing. ISBN 9780738524764. Brown, George Waldo, French, John C. Manchester Historic Association Collections. Manchester Historic Association. Carlton, Hiram. Genealogical and Family History of the State of Vermont. Genealogical Publishing Com. ISBN 9780806347943. Chitsey, Donald B. Siege of Boston. Crown Publishers, Inc., New York. Cited page. Dearborn, Henry. Putnam, Daniel. An Account of the Battle of Bunker Hill. Munro and Amp, Francis. Boston. Ellis, George E. Battle of Bunker Hill. Lee and Shepard Publishers, Boston. ISBN 9781582184029. Frothingham, Richard Svet, Samuel. The Command in the Battle of Bunker Hill. Charles C. Little and Amp, James Brown. Boston. Frothingham, Richard. Battle of Bunker Hill. Little, Brown and Amp Company. Boston. Heath, William. Memoirs of Major General William Heath. W. Abbott. Ketchum, Richard M. Decisive Day, The Battle of Bunker Hill. Doubleday and Amp Company, Inc., New York. ISBN 9781466879508. Stearns, Ezra S. Witcher, William Frederick Parker, Edward Everett. Genealogical and Family History of the State of New Hampshire, a record of the achievements of her people in the making of a Commonwealth and the founding of a nation. Volume 2. Louis Publishing Company, CS1 maint. Multiple names. Authors list. McClary entry. Svet, Samuel. History of Bunker Hill Battle, with a plan. Munro and Francis. Commodore. Website. Sources. The Battle of Bunkers Hill, June 17, 1775. Library of Congress. Retrieved May 9, 2016. Knowles, Gilbert H. The McClary Family of Epsom. Epsom Historical Association. Retrieved May 9, 2016. McClary, Donald R. John Trumbull and Bunker Hill, Almost Chosen People. Retrieved May 9, 2016. Major Andrew McClary, Ancestry.com. Retrieved May 9, 2016. The Battle of Bunker Hill, Ancestry.com. Retrieved May 13, 2016. Epsom Revolutionary War Soldier Andrew McClary. Epsom Historical Association. Retrieved May 13, 2016. Further reading. Fleming, Thomas. Bunker Hill, New Word City, Inc. ISBN 9781612309279. 555 pages. Philbrick, Nathaniel. Bunker Hill, A City, A Siege, A Revolution. Penguin. ISBN 9781101,622,704. 416 pages.